Alchemy has always been more than the crude attempt to turn lead into gold. Beneath its coded symbols, ancient treatises, and arcane experiments lies a hidden psychological language that speaks to transformation, not of matter, but of the soul. Within this inner alchemy, the feminine archetype plays a central role. Figures like Sophia, the divine feminine wisdom, and the Anima, as Carl Jung understood her, represent the deep intuitive force guiding the psyche toward integration and wholeness. Jung observed that the alchemists, though often unaware of the psychological reality of their work, projected unconscious contents onto the material substances they handled. Among these projections, the feminine emerged not merely as a romantic ideal but as a vital principle of wisdom, transformation, and rebirth. Sophia, the Gnostic embodiment of divine wisdom, appears in many alchemical texts as the world's soul, the hidden intelligence within nature, and the guiding light of the philosopher's work. She is the soul of the world, the anima mundi, who both conceals and reveals the mysteries of existence. Jung writes in Psychology and Alchemy, "The alchemical Sophia is the sapientia Dei, the wisdom of God, the feminine archetype of divine knowledge and creative force." Sophia represents the reconciliatory principle in alchemy, the force that holds opposites together, that brings light into the dark matter of the unconscious. She is both guide and goal, a luminous presence that initiates the transformation. Of the ego.in Jungian psychology, the anima plays a similar function. The anima is the feminine inner figure within the male psyche, just as the animus is the masculine figure within the female psyche. She appears in dreams, fantasies, and projections, often personified as a young woman, a spiritual guide, or a muse. But her true purpose is not to romanticize the feminine, but to draw the conscious ego into relationship with the deeper layers of the unconscious. Jung wrote in Ion, "The anima is the archetype of life itself. She is the bridge between the ego and the self, between the surface and the depths." Just as Sophia calls the alchemist toward inner gold, the anima draws the psyche toward individuation, the process of becoming whole. This feminine figure often arrives in 4 stages, as Jung described. From Eve, the biological woman, to Helen, the romanticized image, from Mary, the symbol of religious devotion, to Sophia, the fully realized symbol of divine wisdom. These stages reflect the gradual integration of the anima, moving from unconscious projection to conscious relationship. The anima must be faced, honored, and integrated, not idealized. Without this integration, the anima can distort perception, leading to emotional volatility, illusions in love, or spiritual inflation. But when engaged consciously, she opens the door to the symbolic life. Jung emphasized that engaging with the anima requires humility and courage. In Man and His Symbols, he writes, "The anima is not just a type or complex. She is the gatekeeper to the unconscious. If a man wants to approach the depths of his own soul, he must reckon with her power." Alchemy's sacred marriage, or Konyakusho, often depicts the union of the masculine and feminine as the culmination of the great work. This union is not literal but symbolic, the merging of opposites within the psyche. It is the alchemical representation of psychological integration. In many texts, the king and queen are joined in a vessel, undergo death and rebirth, and emerge transformed. This mystical union mirrors the inner process of reconciling the ego with the anima, consciousness with the unconscious, and matter with spirit. Sophia, as the feminine archetype, is present at each stage of this inner work. She is the light in the vessel, the insight in the darkness, the intuition that precedes understanding. In dreams, she may appear as a glowing woman, a wise voice, or a distant figure calling from across water or space. In alchemy, she may be the dew, the moon, the white rose, or the silver queen. For Jung, these symbols were not merely poetic, they were vital psychic realities. He argued that without a symbolic relationship to the feminine, the masculine psyche becomes rigid, over-rational, and alienated from soul. He saw the anima not only as a personal inner figure, but also as a collective archetype deeply wounded by Western culture's long-standing devaluation of the feminine. Thus, The restoration of the feminine in psychology and spirituality is not merely a personal task, but a cultural and spiritual imperative. The Anima and Sophia challenge the ego's illusion of control. They ask us to feel, to listen, to dream, to surrender to the unknown. This surrender is not passivity, but a deeper kind of knowing, a wisdom that rises from the depths, not from the intellect. Today, as many seek meaning beyond dogma and integration beyond polarization, the feminine archetypes of alchemy and Jungian psychology offer a path back to the soul. They remind us that transformation is not linear, but cyclical, that insight is not always rational, but symbolic, and that true wisdom lies not in domination, but in union. Sophia and the Anima are not simply relics of ancient thought. They are alive in us, calling us to descend into the depths, embrace our wholeness, and emerge transformed. To walk this path is to engage in the great work, not of gold, but of soul. As Jung wrote, only the symbolic life can express the need of the soul, and the feminine within us holds the key.